Live today on April 14th. This conversation is about sports. Many of you have been talking about how, we've been talking about coronavirus. We've been talking about different aspects of the world, and sports is one that we don't want to ignore. We don't want to forget. We all love sports. But we want to talk about that in the context of where we are in the world today. But before we go on today, we have everyone here, and this, when we talk about sports, it's about basketball. Everyone here, I have a former basketball player, I have a basketball coach, I have a referee. I used to be a ball player. Now I wasn't that, I was all right. I still play, but it's about the love for the sport. One of the biggest conversations that's going on now is, and before I get to that, we're gonna talk about what's going on in sports. We're gonna talk about, there's a documentary coming out this Sunday that everybody's excited about. This Michael Jordan documentary that's coming out on ESPN. We're also gonna talk about the coronavirus and how it affected basketball also, even locally. But there's been a lot of talk about this, the Jordan documentary. Let's show a short clip about what's about it, and if you could cue that up and let's show what it's about.
One of our panelists is calling.
Technical difficulties. We're going to try to show the.
You guys not allowed. No, I'm just kidding. What time is it? Our mentality was to go out and win at any cost.
Jordan is the most talented player in the NBA by far.
The show of the 90s, the team of the 90s.
Whenever they speak Michael Jordan, they should speak Scottie Pippen.
We've created an image that people want to live up to. I think that's all you can hope for.
So, listen, we're excited. We're going to talk about Jordan. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that documentary that's coming out on ESPN. Starts on Sunday. We're gonna go into that, but we're dealing with right now. Before we get into that, we're dealing with coronavirus, and coronavirus is something that we want to make sure that everybody stays safe. We want to make sure that people follow the proper protocols. The NBA reacted, stopped all games about a month ago. Many of the other sports franchise, all the sports franchise that did that also. We want to make sure that you stay safe. We want to make sure that you are sheltering indoors. We want to make sure that you're wearing your mask. We want to make sure that if you're sick, that you do the proper protocols. But coronavirus has taken away some folks. It has taken away one of our local basketball heroes. Dave Edwards was a local basketball star at Andrew Jackson High School in the late 80s. As a matter of fact, in his senior year, he scored 40 points like it was nothing. I want to really honor his legacy by showing one of his games. Dave Edwards actually went to Georgetown University, and people remember Allen Iverson as a prolific guard in Georgetown. But before him, in the 89-90 year, was Dave Edwards, who played with two 7-footers Alonzo Mourning, and Dikembe, and he was doing work. Let's show a little bit about Dave Edwards. May he rest in peace.
Summer heat, hip hop beats, and the Basil Park MCs like to compete. Now we'll lay down.
He's going to have a big year this year. He's going to score a lot of points for the Hornets. He's getting a lot of PC right now. Rotating
summer babies from winter skis and still at home and they live with mom. 15 years old, word is born. Went to jobs from past tense. Most of my crew sell white substance. Dropping a jack to the herd. Word, take a trip to the suburbs.
So I just wanted to pay tribute, a little tribute to Dave Edwards, local star. We lost him to coronavirus. Coronavirus is real. Please stay safe. That's how I want to start. But let's get into it. I'd like to, we're going to talk about basketball. We're going to talk about lessons that people learn on the hardwood. I'd like to thank Aaron Ambrose from my office for putting this together, and we're excited about the conversation that we're going to have. Take it away, Aaron.
All right. How's everyone doing? Really glad to be here. I'm really appreciative of Assemblymember Vanel putting me in this position to lead this discussion. Excited to have guys like current Knicks assistant, Royal Ivey, who has been doing amazing things within the community. I think the last time we even spoke was about 192 renaming the gym after Royale. And once everything gets set, when everybody goes back to school, there will be a ceremony with his name being emblazoned on the entrance of that gym. Really amazing giving back. We also have Howard Robertson. Howard Robinson is a retired ward on Rikers Island, but more so he is focused on the youth, and he is focused on changing lives within the community. He also, back in the day, led the city in scoring for 2 straight years. He went to VCU, where he graduated, and he also got his master's in education. We're going to have a couple other people on in a bit. Ron Naclerio will be on, Royale's former coach. He is currently at a enrichment center because we're doing all of this remote learning. Naclerio offered his services to be a part of the enrichment learning, so we'll have him on in a few minutes. We'll also have Bernard Hicks on in a couple of minutes, another New York City official who has seen a lot, that has done a lot, and is trying to do more within the community. So to kick things off, Royale, let's unmute you here. As you go, now you've been in the league for 10 years, played at Texas, TJ Ford, KD. What did you learn through all of that? Because you are Texas's all-time leader in starting games. So you were more than qualified to be on the court. What did you learn in having to be on the court with upper echelon players like KD and, at the time, TJ Ford, further down the road, Westbrook?
I think the things I learned along the way are the intangible things, the things you don't really teach, just how to be a connector, just how to be a good teammate, just how to be a communicator, just how to hold guys accountable from a leadership standpoint. The basketball has always been mentality, I'm from Hollis, Queens, so I wear that on my on my shirt every time I step out on that court. So at the end of the day, I just brought my personality and just my love for the game, and everything else was just was simple to me. Just be coachable, play hard, effort is non-negotiable, and just have a good attitude when you're out there and give it your best. Be the best you. So that's what I carry with me on a day-to-day, every day.
That's really amazing. And there was a thing when I was playing ball in high school. Huge fan of Marbury, and he was a point guard for the Nets at the time. And he would pick up the basketball and he would look at the camera and go, "This round thing can take you around the world. Some go to college. Some go to the White House." What do you got for that, Royale?
I'm an advocate of that, because that round thing, whatever you call it, a basketball, a pill, the chicken, it's definitely done wonders in my life. And I tell the young guys, the youth, use it as a vehicle. Like, don't let basketball use you. I think I got every ounce, and I'm still getting everything I can get out of basketball. And it's taught me a lot of things. It's actually structured my life, how to be punctual, how to be professional, how to follow rules, how to work with another person. And I'm forever indebted to basketball because it's done so much for me and my family, and I respect the game. And at the end of the day, like I said, use it as a vehicle, because I've been all over the world, played in China, played in the NBA, been to different countries, teaching the game of basketball now. And it's definitely been great to me, and I never abused it. I always been grateful and never took it for granted. And like I said, I'm thankful and I show gratitude towards the game.
That's really amazing. That's really amazing. Howard, let's get to you. Now, you're an official. We both are part of that zebra fraternity. As you go forward and you are with the youth and you have walked the halls of Rikers Island, what are the things that you would say to this current youth why they should be a part of athletics? Doesn't matter the sport.
Well, I would tell them that a quitter never wins and a winner never quits. And it's not how you start out, it's how you end up. That's critical. Got a lot of things I would like to say, but I know we press for time, so I'm gonna get right down to business and tell you how basketball literally saved my life. Like you guys, I grew up on the south side of Jamaica, Queens, New York. When I was 9 years old, my father was found dead in the street. I had two older brothers, and over a period of time, drugs took both of them out. I had an older sister, and over time, drugs took her out as well. When I was 18, my mother was killed, her boyfriend shot her. Now, my story gets deeper, but I'm gonna cut it off at this point because, again, the point I wanna make is it's not how you start out, it's how you end up. And it was the basketball. I stayed close to the two things that I loved in my life, basketball and my wife, who's my girlfriend at the time, been married to her for 50 years. And I had guys like Tim Wright, we call him Snake, in my neighborhood, 40 projects, put us in the car, took us to basketball games, and taught us all the fine things in terms of basketball. But there's so many carryovers. And I wrote a few of the points down because I didn't want to miss them. These are things that we learned from playing ball: time management, teamwork, working together with other people, respecting authority, decision-making, how to follow instructions, and understanding that, again, a quitter never wins and a winner never quits. And all those things are carryover from sports into everyday life.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Just I played at Martin Van Buren. So when we did play, I I had just missed Royale at Cardozo. I played the Cameron Tyler version of the Cardozo basketball team. But as I was part of the varsity team, we were late if we were 15 minutes early. And that is so important to be on time, time management. It shows it shows
Right.
respect. It shows accountability, and it shows that you really mean business. So sports is a fantastic way to learn just basic life lessons, and it can forward you and propel you into so many things in the future. Now, I do have Bernard Hicks on the line. Bernard, if you can activate your video, that would be fantastic. Bernard is an official who runs one of the major officiating networks in New York City. So maybe he's having some technical difficulties, so we'll wait for him. Moving forward with this coronavirus, and we know that we can't come together to watch or as a group to play, but Royale, what are certain things that we can use even at home to stay the course, exercise, staying healthy? What are some of the things that you guys have been doing to stay in shape?
Well, I can only speak for myself. I know most of the players are quarantined and
Yes.
they're not supposed to be in gyms, but believe it or not, they're actually in gyms, you know, getting their conditioning, getting their shooting. But for me, I purchased a Peloton maybe a month ago. So I've been using the Peloton. I've been doing push-ups. I do go outside and I do have runs, preparing for a marathon. So I'm trying to stay in shape. I've been cooking more, eating healthier, you know, picking up a book, watching video. I'm just preparing myself for after the quarantine. So just trying to stay busy, just keeping my mind sane, and doing a little bit of meditation, you know. So a little bit of everything. It's a lot of downtime for me, and I'm taking full advantage of it, spending time with my daughter. So it's definitely the first time I've taken off in 20 years. So this long of a period, but it's definitely giving me a peace of mind, and just post quarantine, how I'm going to attack, you know, everything in life, my job and, you know, relationships, and just gives everything a different perspective. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah. So I can also ask that for Howard. And now that we've got Bernard's visual, how you doing, Bernard? Good to see you.
All right, Aaron. Good to see everybody. Thanks for having me. Good to be a part of your presence.
Absolutely. So Bernard runs Top Tier Officials, and he is one of the premier officials in New York City. One of the things that I speak about is you look at the game so differently once you become an official. I had the opportunity to go to a few Knick games this year, and there were times I wasn't watching the players. I was watching the three that were actually conducting and running the show. Speak on that, Bernard, on your perspective changing once you become an official.
The change on becoming official is that I looked at it from a business point of view, since we're getting paid, and once you're getting paid to do anything that's a job, you're a paid professional. So all throughout my life, I've pretty much been working, probably since the age probably of 7, because my father owned a shoe repair store in Harlem where I grew up at, and I always learned how to be productive, and my Saturdays were spent working in the shoe repair, as well as packing bags inside the local supermarkets. And so with that being said, I always had sort of a business managerial perspective on dealing with people and dealing with the public. And I think that helped me along the way because I became a supervisor in the nursing homes and right after that. So wanting to be an official helped me learn how to deal with people and helped me teach other younger people how to definitely look at officiating as a business, as a lifestyle, look at it from a managerial point of view. And I try to explain to them as how I look at it, that it helps you along with dealing with people, understanding authority, respecting authority, and helps you get through life. Sometimes ball players feel that because they're the talent and because the coach prioritizes their particular talent, that they're above everybody else that they meet and that they can do the things in life that they may be able to do on a court or sort of get away with the things or have the privilege of being a ball player and that it extends through life and with their family. So I try to let them know that you're just a ball player on the court, but the game of life extends past your God-given gift that you were actually given, and whether you honed it to another level or whether you kept it at whatever gift you was given, that that's where it's at. So my take on officiating was always looking at it as a business and seeing where I can take it to a professional level as owning a business and providing jobs for other people. So I would say, without going too far, is getting myself and others to look at it as a business, and that's what helped me create Top Tier Officials. And I wanted to provide a venue for other referees so they don't have it as hard as I had it trying to obtain games without having an insight on who was who in the lanes of officiating.
Yeah, that's really great. I was one of the Top Tier officials, and Top Tier came through a lot for me. Just as going forward, coaching, your mind changes when you actually know the rules. In fact, Royale, when you become a coach and you actually know the rules of the game, and I'm involving everyone else, you can talk to the referees a lot differently. You can let the referees know, hey, I know what you're doing. I know what's happening here. I know the rules just as well as you do. How can that help with the relationship between coach and official?
Well, I just look at referees, they're not perfect, they're just like humans. So, refereeing is a lot about judgment and decision making. And as a coach, me doing my due diligence is to learn the rules of the game so I can teach them to my players. So, we don't violate certain rules of the game, and allow the ref to do his job at a high enough level that we can work cohesively. And, they're doing a job and we're doing a job, and we come across paths. We're actually working together. We're working the game, but certain times, we don't see eye to eye because, like I said, I go back, it's all about judgment. It's all about decisions. And that's their job, to make the right call. And it's no bias. It's not like they're rooting for one or the other team. They have to make a decision, and that's what they get graded on. That's what they get paid on. That's their profession. So I have the utmost respect for referees because that's a tough job, making decisions in heated moments. And, it's got to be some instinctual kind of qualities that some guys have to make those decisions in those quick moments. And sometimes they mess them up. And like I said, nobody's perfect.
Listen, we all human.
Exactly.
I can admit this.
I wouldn't want to do that job though. It's too much on the line.
Sure. So let me actually hand the ball over to Clyde. We passing the rock. Clyde, take it away.
Oh, thanks, Aaron. Aaron doing a great job. I want to shift the conversation just a little bit to, I have a lot of young people watching. And I want to talk about not the intricacies of basketball and how you see it in the game, but I want to talk about how some of the lessons in the game help you with life. One of the things that sound basic but is not is something that I think we all continuously struggle with. But I'm gonna start with the person who's closest to playing age than all of us here, Royale. What is the role of hard work, and is that important? Look, I'm nice. You nice, and I'm talking to young people that are out here. You nice. You're good. You know, you got talent. Is hard work important? And is hard work important just when you're young, right? Because you've been playing. You've been a star as a in junior high school, and high school, college, NBA. Now you're an NBA assistant coach. Tell me about hard work.
What I would say to your first comment or your first statement was like, what is life? Life is, to me, the game of basketball is similar to life to me, because there's rules and regulations or guidelines that you have to live by or you should follow. There's somebody that's at the helm, whether that be your mom or your dad. And in basketball, that's the coach. And then there's people, the people that you live with or you go to school with or you fellowship with, those are your teammates. So I look at that as, if I follow the rules, if I can hold myself accountable and do the right thing and try to make the right decisions 8 times out of 10, then I'm doing well for myself. And hard work to me is everything. I'm a product of it because I was told I wasn't fast enough, I wasn't strong enough, I wasn't tall enough. I was told all the negative things throughout my career, but that just built motivation. My hard work comes with consistency. I was consistent. I consistently did my job every single day. And it sounds mundane and it sounds monotonous, but it's the truth. If you do the same things every day and work on your craft, whether you're a plumber, whether you're an astronaut, you become good at it, because this is 10,000 hour rule. If you work on something that hard and that willingly, you see success from it. And there should be more Royal Ivies out in the world, because like I said, I'm a kid from Queens who was determined, who was resilient, who had a plan, and I had a plan B. I finished school, but it wasn't perfect. It wasn't easy. I didn't really talk about it. I wasn't braggadocious. I just did the work. I put my head down. I stayed dedicated. I stayed consistent. When I failed, I got back up, and I just kept on doing it. And it became a ritual, became a routine for me, having a good routine. How am I going to attack the day every day? So I think I work like that to this day, and it's no secret pill. There's no magic sauce. It's called hard work. You got to do it and be consistent on a day-to-day basis. And once you have that consistency, the world is your playground.
Now, Roy, I see your former coach coming on, so he's working on his video. But, Coach, can you hear me? Is Coach there?
Coach.
Naclerio.
Coach.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So, Coach.
Hey, back up from the screen, though.
See me? Hey, listen, Royal, come on. I don't know what I'm doing.
I know that. Back up a little bit. There you go.
You see me?
I can see you.
All right, wait. I got to make sure I look good. I got the comb out. What are you laughing about? Come on, I got to look good.
Come on, Naclerio. Don't take over the conversation, man. We were going well without you.
All right, listen, you know what? I could always exit stage left. You know, like they said, quick draw McGraw.
Coach, now, first of all, thank you for being here. We have Coach Naclerio here, who is one of the leadingest, I think he's the most leading coaches.
Most winningest coach in PSAL.
Wow, he is the winningest coach in PSAL with over 800 wins. Am I right?
Yeah, close to about 850 now.
850.
You know what? I was lucky that I had a lot of players that can play that made me a good coach, and some players that became very good players, like Royal and a couple of his teammates that made me supposedly a very good coach.
Well, Coach, we just talked about, and you came right on time, the importance of hard work. Tell us about the importance of hard work. Is that important or not? Is talent?
First of all, I want to just start off with, you know, we're on here for good intentions, but the wrong reasons. This coronavirus is something that has devastated everybody. It has hit Queens very, very hard. We are number one in the most people that have caught it. We are number one with the most people that unfortunately have passed away. There are 8 people that I know, and I'm sure you know most of them, that unfortunately the virus won the battle. One was Lee Green, who used to play at St. John's. Another was somebody we all know and love in Queens, Dave Edwards. Tragic. Maine Miller, who worked so hard with all of the kids at 72 who played at one of our arch rival schools, August Martin. There was Danny Turner, a Brooklyn kid, who's Sebastian Telfair's brother. We have Willie Mitchell, a referee who, you know, I would never yell at God, but I would say to God, I think you made the wrong call taking him so early. I'm sure if I'm lucky enough one day to get to heaven and I ask him, he'll give me the reason why. There's Anthony Corsi, the famous New York Post photographer who Royal, I'm sure you came across, great guy, but I don't know if you know Royal, his wife, Ramina, graduated Cardozo in 1988. Then we have 2 security guards, school safety agents. One was Miss Williams from IS8 and Campus Magnet. She was the best. She was a mother, a grandmother, everybody. And a Cardozo school safety agent who was there for about 15, 16 years, then was assigned to Bayside High School, safety agent Mosley. I mean, it really is sad that hopefully the end of this is near, and when it ends, there are going to be at least 8 people that we all know that will unfortunately will never get a chance to see again.
Yeah, Coach, we opened up, and you know, thanks for talking about that. When we opened up, we showed highlights of of Dave Edwards, but we talked about how it's not only affecting the basketball community, it's affecting the entire community. It's affecting Queens in particular. One of the things we started off saying that please practice all coronavirus proper protocols. Please, if you're, and again, we have all the information that if you're sick, we have the hotlines to call to go get tested. Also to make sure that you are, you know, abiding by what we're doing throughout the entire state. But yes, this is affecting us all, and that's why we can't even be in the same room together because we have to do this through Zoom. And you know, that's what we're doing moving forward. But Coach, a lot of young people are watching, and you know, we want to continue to talk, you know, and teach them about the lessons that sports brings to life, and we want to get to the importance of working hard.
Well, let me tell you, you know, hard work are 4-letter words. There are other 4-letter words that, you know, your parents tell you not to say, but the 2 ones that I love to hear from my players are hard work. Without that, the dream always stays a dream. It never becomes a reality. And when you start getting to be 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, if you're still dreaming, that's sad because you got to try to go and grab those dreams. You know, it really was on a testament to like a young man like Royal Ivey, how, like he said, he went from A to B to C to D, E, worked his way through the alphabet, and at the end, it turned into greatness. So many kids today want to go from A to Z without the hard work. And, you know, I tell the young kids, if you do it the wrong way, and there's so many kids doing it the wrong way, you know, not taking school seriously, not doing homework, not going to class, cutting the whole bit, and in the game, taking the shortcuts. If you do it the wrong way, you're not getting there. If you do it the right way, there's no guarantee you're going to get there, but at least you give yourself a fighting chance.
For the 2 refs, what about that? Can you see when people are when players are working hard, and can you see a difference? And also hard work in your life, in your fields.
Well, you know what? I remember my first year. I don't want to mention my record. It was 1 win and 21 losses, and you think you know, but I was very lucky. I had a couple of mentors, Coach Carnesecca from St. John's, Larry Brown, the NBA coach. I went to every clinic, bought every tape, went everywhere I could. I became a sponge, and I learned how to deal with kids. I learned how to deal the X's and O's. I learned how the psychology of coaching. And I'd like to say from 1 and 21 the first year, the second year I was 21 and 4.
Wow.
So brother Hicks, Bernard Hicks.
Yes.
Tell me about, hard work and what, in your position and your role, and how that's affected you.
Hard work in my role allowed me to study the game from the inside. It made me study the game as far as dealing with dealing with coaches, dealing with the players, and dealing with my fellow partners. As far as dealing with the game in itself as a referee, I always admire coaches who tell their players to play the game and that they have a role to play, and that's their job to deal with the referees, and that they don't get mixed up in trying to play, trying to coach, and trying to ref all three at the same time. So I think that great coaches like Mr. Naclerio, I think when they expound on their players that they have a job to do and that they need to listen to the blueprint of the coach, and the referee has a job which doesn't impact their position on the court, that they should have direct focus on the game and learning from the referees on how we referee the game. I have a format that I teach kids how to play through the eyes of a referee. And this teaches them why we make the calls we make, when we make the calls we make. That way they don't make the same mistakes and just yell at referees. I teach them to also have a mental Rolodex on when we make certain calls, just don't yell at us on the court, but to keep a mental Rolodex on why we make that call, when we made it. That way they can come to us during a dead ball or any situation where they have time and say, pardon me, referee, can you tell me why you made that call? That way I won't do it again. And I tell them most of the time, a good referee will explain to them, this is why I made that travel call. You took a step and a 2-step, or you palmed the ball, or whatever the situation may be. So I think it's very important for coaches to expound on players that learn from the referees, as well as follow my blueprint on what our scheme is schematically.
I was about to ask Howard, but I see his phone is down. But that one is Howard.
Yeah. Am I back?
Yeah.
Yes.
Am I back now?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, in terms of hard work, no getting around it. We always tell young people that life pays in exact wage. What you put in is what you're gonna get out. If I make 100 jump shots a day, not shoot 100, make 100, and you make 200 jump shots a day, you're gonna have the best jump shot. Why? You put in the work. I do 100 push-ups a day, you do 500 a day. You're gonna have, the best body. And that translates into the classroom. I study for 15 minutes, you study for an hour. All things being equal, you're gonna do, well on that test. So what you put in is what you're gonna get out. But there's no getting around hard work, and that old adage, there's no shortcuts to the top.
Now, another important thing, and I'm gonna start with the player, then I'm gonna go to the coach and then refs. Royale, basketball. Now, I was a basketball player, and I had to, when I was coming up, time management was important, right? So I had to go to practice, I had to go to class, I had to you know what I'm saying? So I scheduled my time and my day around basketball. And I find that, and this is also something for the parents to hear. I find that I was too busy to get in trouble. By the time I get out of school, by the time I get out of practice, I was tired, right? So I didn't have time to do this stuff. And then also, I had something to live for, to shoot for. I had goals as a young person, and that carried me even through now. How's that affecting you in your life after playing, after playing basketball, after, about the time management and that discipline?
Time is of the essence. And just coming up in high school, I didn't have any extra time. I didn't really have a social life. It was school, basketball, books, and that was it. That's how it worked. I didn't hang out on the corners. I was focused, I was dedicated, and I loved to play ball. So that's what I did on the weekends. In high school, we had practice on the weekends, so I was at practice, or I had AAU events, and there was no time for anything extra, no time for girls, no time for hanging out with my guys, because I was focused. I had my eyes on the prize, and I wanted to get a scholarship, so I had to negate all the extracurricular activities and to focus on the three essential things: school, basketball, and my family, and everything else was unnecessary. So that's how I kind of broke it down. And it was less distractions in my time versus now. No social media, and we didn't have cell phones. We had beepers, so I really wasn't on the phone like that. So I guess my parents they kept me focused too. So kudos to them.
So, Coach, knowing that, how do you create the environment for players to be able to thrive in sports and in life? How do you look at that?
Well, first of all, I don't want to go off on another tangent, but I just want to quickly say, because I don't know if I'm saying it again, make sure you're taking your vitamin C and D. Make sure you boil water. When you boil water, if you get your nostrils over the boiling water, as crazy as it sounds, the steam gets in your nostrils. If, God forbid, the virus gets near it, the steam in your nose, going into your nose, can kill it. You can do one nostril at a time, two nostrils at a time, because a lot of this stuff comes from my, the background of knowing my father, because my father was a heart and lung surgeon. The other thing, if the people that have trouble breathing, if you can get the steam from the boiling water and take 10 deep breaths, it'll bother you a little, but hopefully if there's something in there, it'll kill it. Then you got to do some exercise and drink a lot of hot fluids like green tea. There's a doctor out there, Dr. Bill Apkin. He actually is a Cardozo graduate of 1972. He has studied the biomechanism of this illness, and he's willing to bet his reputation. He's been working with many, many patients, and he's had a lot of great success. He would love for anybody who thinks they're suffering it to call him. His office is open. It's in Douglaston. His cell number is 516-320-4551. We're trying to actually get to the mayor and governor because he's had some great success with his techniques. Talking about hard work, the harder you work, the luckier you'll get. And when Royal said about hanging out on the street corner, well, I call them SCLs, street corner losers. And people say that really don't know me, or if they do know me, they say, hey, Naclerio's crazy. They see me at a game, I'm yelling, I'm crazy. Or, if you're in Cardozo, you're walking through the halls and you're late to class and I'm ranting and raving. Well, if me wanting you to go to your class, me wanting you to try your best when you're in class, whether it's your best is a 70 in that particular class, best is a 90. I want you to go for tutoring if you need it, value tutoring. If I want you to go home and study, I want you to go home and do your homework. When you come to practice, I want you to bust your ass as hard as you can, and even more so. Work on your strengths, work on your weaknesses. Give everything you got all at a time. And if you say I'm crazy well, then I'm happy to be crazy because I think that's a good crazy.
Now, one thing I have to say about Coach and about what he was talking about with his medical suggestions is many people don't know that, well, he just said it. Coach's dad was a doctor. Not only was Coach's dad was a doctor, and I want you to talk about this a little bit, Coach. Coach's dad was Martin Luther King actually when he came to Harlem in the 60s, somebody tried to kill him. And somebody tried to stab him if you guys look at the history, and in the heart. And Coach, did your dad work on Dr. King? Was that, am I right?
Well, my father, may he rest in peace, he was a heart and lung surgeon. He devised how to put the pacemakers in. And he was one of the few white people that would go to Harlem in the 50s. It was September 20th, 1958, when arguably the greatest American, Dr. Martin Luther King, got stabbed at a book signing at a bookstore, at a department store that now, it's ironic, is now Turo College of Medicine in Harlem. The knife, which was an actual letter opener, was touching his aorta. Now, usually when you get stabbed in the chest, two things happen. You get stabbed in the chest, it's not touching the heart, penetrating the heart, you're okay. If it penetrates the heart, that's it, you drown in your own blood, which Dr. King said in his own speech. This was actually like a knife touching a balloon. If Dr. King would have sneezed or coughed, the knife penetrates his aorta, he drowns in his own blood. It was too dangerous for my father to touch the chest because that sensation could cause the coughing or the sneezing. Time was of the essence. He quickly removed 2 ribs from the side, got in, got the knife out, and saved his life. The next morning, he got up very early to change Dr. King's dressing to make sure that no infection would start, which would add to a lot of problems. Paparazzi came in, took the picture. That picture went viral. It was going to take Dr. King approximately 3 months to be 100% healthy again. 3 months later, 3.5 months later, my father gets a beautiful letter from Dr. King. It's on his stationery letterhead. I'd like to read it. It's dated January 6, 1959. Dear Dr. Naclerio, ever since leaving New York, I have been intending to write you at least a note to express my great appreciation to you for all that you did to preserve my life. Your skilled surgery, coupled with your genuine concern for me as a patient, combined to bring me from a very low ebb in my life to blooming health again. Please know that I will remember your gestures of goodwill so long as the cords of memory shall lengthen. I hope you have received our gift by now. It is simply a little way to express our gratitude to you for all that you did to ease the load of a difficult period in our lives. With best wishes to you and yours for health and happiness in 1959, I am sincerely yours, Dr. Martin Luther King. This letter, anybody wants a copy, get a hold of me. I love to brag about this. My father became very good friends with Martin Luther King for the remaining 10 years. When my father went to Atlanta to give speeches or Montgomery, he would call on Dr. King. He got very tight with Daddy King, Martin Luther King's father. I have a beautiful autographed book from Daddy King. I actually met Martin Luther King a couple of times when I was young, but I am so proud of that historical moment. And, you know, it brings the tears to my eye because whenever I hear Dr. Martin Luther King, I also think of my father.
That's amazing. And I thought it was important for people to hear that story. That is amazing. Unbelievable. Wow.
Well, you know what? If you go to the website, WHSAK.com, short for WhenHarlemSavedTheKing.com, there's a documentary that is coming out, but there's a 5-minute trailer. If you click onto the trailer, it sums up everything from that night in 5 minutes. Now, when my mom saw it before she passed away a little over 2 years ago, she broke down crying because she didn't see not just pictures of my father with Dr. King, and I don't know how they did it from 62 years ago. There was live footage, live video of my father with Dr. King and changing his dressing.
Wow. Can you repeat that website, please?
WHSAK.com. You'll see Reverend Alfonso Cohen start talking, and it's a tremendous 5-minute trailer. The documentary, when it's done, will be, well, you know, I think be one of the best documentaries ever made.
Wow. 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 So incredible, historic. We don't know where things would have been had that not happened. I must say, let's switch gears a little bit. Howard.
Yes, sir.
Now, you've played the game. Who were some of the toughest that you played in back in the day?
Well, during my era, it was the late 60s, early 70s. We talked about Dave Edwards. His father and I were best friends all through junior high school and high school. And he was tough. We made All-City the same year. Again, I was averaging 35 a game. He was a defensive specialist. And I was supposed to go to North Carolina State. He was supposed to go to UNLV. But both of us got scholarship offers to go to VCU. And that's how we ended up there. So I just wanted to put that in there because we were talking about David, and my heart is broke because that guy was my nephew, watched him grow up. And so I just wanted to mention that. But the toughest guys during my era, Tom Henderson had a nice NBA career. A guy named Gregory McDougal, who I played with in college, became an NBA player. Jesse Dark, the Knicks #1 pick, played with him in college. Dave Winfield, he played for Minnesota. We played against him when we were freshmen. We knocked him off, by the way. And the list goes on and on, but you guys are so young. To mention players from my era, you wouldn't even know. Henry Kinsey, Ernie Dowse, Jocko, Lloyd Free. See, those names don't mean nothing to you. But
I remember a lot of them.
World be free.
Yeah.
But Coach, he knows those guys.
Tom Henderson, Clinton High School. Dave Winfield, the only professional athlete ever to get drafted by 3 professional sports leagues, NFL, NBA, and Major League Baseball.
Right. Lenny Elmore, he's a sports commentator. The list goes on and on. But these guys, again, we out of the loop as it pertains to young guys like yourselves.
Thank you.
What Howard represents the organization of Khalid Reeves' organization.
Yes, sir.
And I remember Khalid Reeves used to give us headaches. I played for St. John's Prep, and Khalid played for
Christ the King.
And his Christ the King team was basically an NBA team, and Khalid used to give us headaches.
Yeah. So, Dave Winfield was one of the names that, and World Be Free were the names that kind of struck with me. I am a little younger. Royale is we're kind of close. So those names, I'm sure Coach Naclerio that rung a little bit more. For Bernard, who are some, or what are some of the schools that you see coming up right now in the high school game?
Well, I'm not too versed in the particular schools that are coming up. I just know of the past powerhouses, like who Naclerio coaches for. But I know of the boys and girls high school. I didn't play high school ball growing up. I went to Brooklyn Tech, so I was more of the academic type of student. But I played, street ball in the park. Yeah. So that's kind of like where my basketball goes, as far as knowing those high school teams. But I had a lot of idols growing up, such as George Gervin, Bobby Dandridge, a little before your time, Aaron, Gus Williams, his brother Ray. So I go back a little far. So don't really know the powerhouse teams, but except for the Clintons of the Bronx, Clinton, boys and girls, George Washington. So not too versed on the teams that are coming up, right at this moment right here.
No worries. So I was, just a few years ago, I was part of the coaching staff on Martin Van Buren. And I think Coach Naclerio might remember that we put a blemish on an otherwise perfect record for Cardozo when Ryan Rooms, and it was like Twin Towers. Who are the Twin Towers on that team?
Dwayne Brunson, who unfortunately was murdered.
Yes.
2 years ago, March 18th, and 2 years ago today, we actually held a memorial service at Cardozo for him. His wife flew in from Kansas and his 2 sons, and that was tragedy. And one of the things, not to change the Van Buren, because I know you guys upset us, but what really, today when I was doing what I'm doing, I'm working in an enrichment program 3 hours a day to try to help the first responders, kids who function through this. But what really is sad, in the last 2 years, Cardozo basketball has won a lot of games. Our record has been like 80-8. But the saddest thing is we had 2 players shot and killed in the last 2 years. One was Dwayne Brunson, and the other was October 26th, freshman Amir Griffin.
Yeah.
So, I'm just, it's like, it hits you like, whoa.
Amir was a devastating one, and I see Royale stepped away. You guys had an Amir Griffin Classic in his honor, and I know
we raised a lot of money. Thank God, Ronnie Feig from KISS, the clothing company, KITH, he did something. He was selling, Amir Griffin, beautiful shirts, and online it sold out in 3 minutes, and there was about 1,000 online sold, and at Cardozo I think there was 600, 800 that sold out in 20 minutes, and all the proceeds went to the family.
Wow. And the Knicks actually posted something about Amir Griffin as well, where they had a jersey in his honor.
Well, Royal Ivey knew Amir's father, Warnell Wells, who everybody in Queens knows him by the nickname of Tootie. I would call him Tootie Fruity because he was crazy. But, Tootie always played with all the Cardozo kids in the spring, summer, and fall with JYO, Jamaica Youth Organization, which was coached by my great assistant coach, Billy Medley.
Yeah.
And we always were teasing him because, he should have been with us at Cardozo. And his mother was trying to get him in Cardozo, but his dream was to beat us. Now, Tootie actually had a game where he scored 44 points against Cardozo. Wow. He won't tell you we spanked him by 20 or 30, but he did have 44.
Wow. So Royale, I want to take you down memory lane really quickly. I'm gonna show you a series of pictures, and what are the first couple of things that come to mind when you see them?
99 championship year, because my dad with Eric Hicks, Game Over, got us out of those old Olaf uniforms, and that was my senior year pick. I don't know what for, but those were the new jerseys. I think we were going to the Garden or starting the playoffs, so we got new jerseys, and those are one of the jerseys we wore.
Okay.
Because that's not even my number.
Then you have
number 12.
Yeah, was that number 12?
You were number 12, Roy. I remember that.
Yes. Now you have this one.
Rookie year. Where I wore 36 because I wore 12 in high school. In college at Texas, I wore 24. So I said added another 12 because Kenny Anderson was he was one of my mentors and my teammates. He was wearing 12, so I couldn't get the number 12, and I decided to go with 36. So this is my rookie year trading card, which my dad has all of my trading cards, and that's pretty funny right there.
That's really cool. And I was looking at certain other pictures, and I'm like, is this brother wearing N1 sneakers? That was a dope brand at that point.
Well, yeah, I had an endorsement with N1 for 3 years, so anything they put out, I got for free, and they paid me to wear the shoe. So at the time, N1 was picking up. Steph was basically, he was the headliner of N1. Kevin Garnett So they had some steam in the early 2000s. Guys were wearing N1, a lot of street ballers.
Yeah.
And their gear was decent. So, I mean, why not?
All right. So I got two more for you.
You said 3. Haha. I don't remember. I think that was my last year in Philly. That was AI's last year playing. He got traded back to the Sixers, and it was definitely like a humbling experience playing with one of the, the best guys to ever put on an NBA jersey, especially one of the guys that's 6 foot or under. And then the other guys, Andre Iguodala, he's won multiple championships. He's big in the tech world, the startup worlds, in San Francisco. He's wrote a book, and he was a great player. He can really score the ball. When he was playing with the Sixers around that time, he was averaging around 20-something points. People didn't really.
Yeah, he was the other AI.
Yeah, and people don't know how good of a teammate Allen Iverson and how good of a person he is. They hear everything through the media, but when you're living it, it's a whole different experience. So, cool.
All right, last one for you.
Wow. That's crazy.
Nice.
Everybody's idol, Kobe Bryant. It's airy because we lost Kobe. Oh, man. And I remember that day because I had the Brooklyn Scout.
Mm.
And we were in a meeting, and one of the coaches was like, "Man, Kobe's dead." And I heard him, and he said it again. So we just stopped the meeting and turned on the TV, and it was a crazy day for me. It was a crazy day for the basketball world, and definitely it was somebody I admired. I looked up, and I was blessed and honored to, be able to compete against somebody of that caliber of player, one of the greatest, ever to play the game, and to lose him to, such a tragedy at a young age was definitely was eye-opening, and definitely very hard time to go through, with the basketball community. But it definitely was an honor to, be on the same court as, number 24, the Bean. So
The Bean, no doubt about it. By the way, just looking at the picture, looks like Kobe's needing a little help where he's pointing. He's asking somebody to cut off the baseline.
I guess I remember that. I think I dribbled through and try to make another play. I don't really remember that one, but I can make up any story now and tell my kids.
Yeah, Royal, you were smart because remember I always used to say bring your BTA card, not your MTA card, your BTA card. Bust that ass.
Now, I asked Royal a question.
Yes.
How did you transition from watching the game as a youth and then playing on the court with walking Hall of Famers? How does your mindset differ when you have to actually go at these walking Hall of Famers that you're facing at that moment?
I mean, it's just the competitive nature of the game, the competitive nature of myself. And they're doing the same thing I'm doing. It's a profession, it's a job. So when we step in between the lines, you throw all that out. Like, you're in front of me, I gotta guard you, like you gotta guard me. And there's no admiration at that point. The admiration comes when you're watching them at a young age, or you're watching them, you're trying to emulate certain moves. But once we're in the court, it's all business and everything being friends. Like, I played against my best friend, TJ Ford. He was my backcourt partner. And when we went against each other, I wanted to hurt him. Like, I wanted to go at him for all the times he embarrassed me in practice. Like, this was my chance. So I always looked at it as opportunity,
Yeah.
I had something to prove, and if that guy's in front of me, he's guarding me, I just wanted to go at him. So that's just how I took it. And it was kind of simple. It was just that plain and simple.
So we're pushing an hour, and we're going to be closing out soon, but we do have some questions from Facebook page, and I'm going to try to meld them together. With female ball players, male ball players, what are some of the things that they can do to keep their skills sharp while they're home? Now, we got 2 coaches and 2 refs. What do you got? Let's start with Coach Naclerio.
Naclerio, you got 1,000 drills.
I got more drills than a math book got problems. But what are you laughing at? But if you have a basketball, you know, there's ball flips. You dribble, 1-hand dribble, 2-hand dribbles behind your back, between your legs. If you're lucky enough to have a sidewalk, you can dribble up and down the sidewalk. If you have a backyard, a lot of people have a rim. You can do 1-hand layups, 2-hand layups. There's so many drills you can do. I wish I had the time to show people, but we don't. But, one of the things that kids have to do, they all live this crazy dream of D1, D1, D1. They almost think that if they get a D2 scholarship and no D1, that they're a failure, a loser in the game of life. That's the farthest thing. And the one thing, because the teenagers never think they're going to be in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and basketball playing it is going to be a thing of the past. The one thing I tell them is college degrees do not have D1, D2, or D3 on.
That's a fact. And to piggyback on that, a free education is a free education, whether it's in Kalamazoo, Michigan, or it's in Los Angeles, California. Like, that's accomplishment in all. Like, whether it's junior college, whether it's Division I, Division II, when your parents don't have to come out of pocket for $40,000, $50,000, that's what it was about. Like, going to school for free, not being in debt. Like, starting out with freedom financially, not owing anybody anything. So that should be the main thing, going to school for free, getting an education, getting that degree, and moving it forward. And then whatever happens after that is icing on the cake. But that should set up your foundation, moving forward, if you can get a free education.
I know some people that unfortunately they start off in the game of life without even getting a job. They owe 100, 150,000. They pay 10 or 15,000 and they say, hey, it's going down, but they don't realize it's not going down nearly as quick because of the interest. So value basketball, but value education. And I try to tell the kids, basketball is your life when you're young. Education is your life for life. And you got to use basketball to make life better. I was lucky that I was a great baseball player. I got drafted by the Chicago White Sox. I got up there. Thank God I never dropped out. My parents wouldn't let me. I got my degree, and I did get hurt, and I couldn't play for the White Sox. And next thing you know, I found my second calling, being a coach.
Howie?
Yes, sir. Well, in terms of staying in shape during this time, I think Coach said it best. Get you a basketball, work on your ball handling skills, hit the track, do your road work, your push-ups, staying in shape. But in terms of going to the park and taking layups and jump shots, they're removing the rims off of the backboards, and justifiably so, because a lot of young folks don't realize how serious this virus is, and they'll be out there playing 5-on-5 if they can help it. So, but that's what we need to do.
Bernard is actually a workout freak. It's a little frightening.
Well, coming from 3 different perspectives, one of them come from, this is a basketball player. For those who have tapes of themselves, if you can watch the tapes that you have, study what you've done on the court, learn what mistakes you've done, and learn the moves that you actually perfected, and learn from the game film that you already have. So this we can teach you, valuable lessons. Also, I would go from the officiating point of view, which is they have online rules of the game through iAble, and you can actually learn the rules of the game. That way, when you get back on the court, you can actually come back with a new perspective on how the game is officiated and why officials make the calls that we do. Third would be, from my personal training experience, would be, and that's for all of us, do not overeat during this time of quarantine and isolation. try as best as you can to maintain a weight that you have. If you're in high school, you try to get back to our high school weight. That's what our body wants to be, and that's the best equilibrium that our body functions at. So the main thing would be don't overeat, so that when you get back on the court, you have the same speed and dexterity, and you could implement the drills that your coach wants you to produce.
Oh,
Yeah, I
man.
want to piggyback on that because every day, 11 o'clock to 12 o'clock, I'm on the computer watching videos, watching tapes, pickandpop.net, psychology coaching. I'm Googling boxing one offenses just because I want to continue to learn. You know, I think that I got to be a better coach next year in year 40 than I was in year 39. And if I don't, then if we lose a couple of games, I'm not going to be too happy on myself.
I agree on that. I definitely study film, stretch. You need to have your flexibility. Do push-ups, calisthenics. If you can take a jog late at night, you know, when nobody's really around, do that. And then pick up a book, you know, go outside, get uncomfortable, go outside the realm and, you know, kind of find a hobby or a trait that you like to do, whether it's drawing, reading, I don't know, writing, write down your thoughts, you know, write down your goals for next year, for next season, how you want to come out this quarantine, basically. And that's what I would do. Just set yourself up for optimism and be positive and try to put forth those goals for moving forward in your new season. And when you get out there, hold yourself accountable to what you wrote down. So that's a big thing.
So I'd like to, first of all, I'd like to thank everyone for joining. I'd like to thank everyone out there for watching. I'd like to thank Aaron for putting this together with his shirt. Show them the Mamba Sports Academy shirt. Thank you, Royal Ivey, for spending your time with us. Thank you, Coach Naclerio, for being here. Bernard Hicks, thank you for blessing us. Howard, thank you for being here. Again, we want to make sure that you practice